What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. And today, we're talking Lord of the Rings of
Rings
Power
of Rings
with
of Power.
Jack's Wolverine claws making a cameo. Yo, let's do our spoiler free. First, a brief synopsis of this bad boy from my trusty IMDb. Let's hear it. Epic drama set thousands of years before the events of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings follows an ensemble cast of characters, both familiar and new, as they confront the long feared reemergence of evil to Middle Earth. And guys, for me, these two episodes are as vague as that IMDb synopsis. My spoiler free review of this is beautiful to look at. Uh, and I know things are supposed to matter, and in turn, they matter because I know they're supposed to, but I walked away easily forgetting most of what I saw. And I feel like
Yeah.
this thing is supposed to be impactful, especially because they're not dropping all these episodes at once. So they want you to come back next Friday. And I may forget this even comes on again. And I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy, so I'm not coming in with any baggage, any preconceived. Just show me something dope, and I'll come back for it. And this felt like I forgot that I watched it the second the credits rolled.
Yeah, I think it was weird pacing, confusing introductions, confusing plot lines. I spent a lot of time rewinding, trying to figure out where I was, what was going on, and who these people were, and why should I care about them.
Mm.
And that's kind of where my frustration lies. Cause I mean, one of my favorite books growing up was The Hobbit. I mean, I like Tolkien. I mean, but for some reason, when Tolkien translated
You
to
read that? You read that
yeah,
book?
oh yeah, yeah, I
That's a
read it in fourth
big
grade.
book.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah, yeah,
giant size.
yeah. But
He
No, I
can't
don't
get through
read.
Batman,
yeah,
but he killed Tolkien.
we can read. Let's go
You can
fucking read.
read?
I can read. But for me, when they translated Lord of the Rings and later The Hobbit and stuff like that to movies, those movies didn't really work for me. My
Mm.
favorite like video content is like the 1970s animated The Hobbit, and outside of that, like I just really didn't dig on this content, and this thing kind
Wow.
of carried over for me too. It's just not for me.
Wow. Wow. Rich,
Yeah.
what
I
do you think?
mean,
I'm gonna go with the same. I was like, I know we need to care about these characters, but I'm just like, why? Like, where are we going with this? It was slow paced, and unforgettable, or forgettable, I should say. Excuse me, because again, like you and Chris said, like you kind of just forgot what happened after watching it. I forgot about the black elf.
Negro, please.
You
You
Yeah,
forgot
really
my
about
man
forgot
got a
about
Negro,
little bit of
please.
action, huh? I forgot all about him, and even though he had a whole conversation with his commander, or was it his friend? I don't
No,
even
it's
know.
his
I
friend.
forgot.
It's his love interest, the girl, the lady.
No, he's
No, no,
talking
no,
about
no.
that
What?
dude.
He's
talking about
Yeah,
before
that
that.
dude when he was
His
talking about,
friend
oh,
said, "Hey,
when
man."
when you go back to wherever the name of the place is, you'll be living in a higher
Oh
station than he
yeah,
was, because I believe
yeah,
he was like a
yeah.
farmer or something,
A grower, he said. Yeah,
a
Yeah.
grower.
The
Yes,
grower.
I equated that as a farmer. I
yeah.
don't know.
Spoiler
I'm not
free.
sure, Jack.
Spoiler
Can I
free.
Oh yeah,
ask you
yeah.
guys
So
a
yeah,
spoiler-free question?
yeah,
Yeah.
Did you watch this wishing you were watching Game of Thrones instead?
it kind of was.
No, I'll say no because
Okay.
for me, for every super graphic adult show, I want there to be a family equivalent that's just as impactful. Like I want families and children to be able to sit and watch this, and then when the kids go to bed, then the adults watch House of the Dragon. I was hoping this would have been the family equivalent,
That's
and
fair.
it's not. It's not.
Yeah,
You know, I was
yeah. But
hoping that
that's
this was going to be closer to like I didn't care for the first Lord of the Rings movie, and I didn't really watch them. But how people watch those movies, I was hoping to have this experience with this show. But yeah, what are you saying, Rich?
no. That's it. It was forgettable.
Jack?
So,
Well, might be the odd one out. I really enjoyed the Lord of the Ring movies when they came out. After I finished the first movie, I just sat there frustrated because I was ready to watch the other two instantly, and so went back and I think rewound. I think it was, I don't even know if it was a CD when I watched that. Maybe it was, but I watched it again almost instantly. I just went back to this top and watched it again. That's how much I like that film. And even that movie moves at a slower pace.
The
As far
first
as the
one.
series, yeah. But it's fun, man. This is my content. Like I love this video game called Dragon Age because that's the world it lives in. You pick one of these archetypes, wizards, elves, dwarves, and the whole gameplay changes depending on which race and class of people you've chosen to play as. So I love this content.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my problem with this series was right off the top, there's this big recap where they jump thousands of
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
Wait, spoiler free.
This is within the first 2 minutes of the series.
Spoiler free.
It's the
Okay, we'll
first
jump
two
into
minutes of
it.
the content, but it pertains to how I felt about the content. That 2,000 years they jumped to tell this part of the story was instantly more interesting to me than the part of the story they're choosing to tell. And
Yeah. And
and so I'm
visually.
sitting yeah, and but that's the problem with the content right now for me is I'm waiting for it to become more. You've skipped this crazy compelling 2000 years prequel to the story you're going to tell us. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming now that the story you're going to tell us is more interesting than the story you skipped, and it's not yet. So I'm sitting here in faith after watching the first two episodes that dropped, going, that first 5 minutes was this
It's
like
strong.
I could watch that.
It had a strong start for me. It had a very
Yes.
strong start for me. Let's jump right into this bad boy. So yeah, I co-signed with Jack. That first 5 minutes, I was in. I'm like, this is freaking action packed. I dug the lore. I know nothing about Lord of the Rings, so I'm in. And then it hits a snail's pace as we hit
Yeah.
present time. And let's just do a little the recap here. I mean, we're with
Can't wait to hear this
what's her
recap, by the
name?
way.
The
Yeah,
main elf.
he's already
I
done.
struggle with their names. Gal, and for
What
those listening who don't know this or watching this, this is a prequel of the books. They weren't
let's
allowed
just call her Gala. That'll make it easier for you.
Gala. I'll call her Gala. This is a prequel of the
Galadriel.
books. So they weren't allowed to go into the books and change a single thing, but they were allowed to do whatever they wanted before those stories started. And they didn't have license or access to the Peter Jackson films. They weren't allowed to use any of that stuff. So this is not a prequel to the Lord of the Rings movies at all.
Right. Although it
So
does have
Making sense now.
characters that are in the movies and in the
right,
books are here
I mean,
thousands of years
I mean,
younger.
Sauron is
so
still the big bad.
right. But if you see some of these characters and you're like, she reminds me of nothing of Kate Blanchett, it's because whatever take that was on that character doesn't necessarily have to be here in the
Right.
earlier
And
version.
Hugo Weaving, obviously.
Obviously, is not
Oh,
And
this.
some of the
This,
logic as well.
yeah. So we're with Gala. Basically, we see her as a child. Her brother gets killed by the big bad, like and she's pretty much, I will have my revenge. And she pretty much leads a group of elves on these like suicide missions
for
to find
thousands of
for
years.
thousands of years to find this thing that most of them believe is
Is
gone.
yep.
And my biggest issue, it started right here in the first fight against the what is it, the ice
The
orc,
snow troll or
snow
the
troll, excuse me,
yeah.
snow troll, because it was different than the other trolls that was in the other movies. But basically, all them elves struggled with this dude, and then she came in like flawless
Like
victory,
nothing.
like
Nothing.
nothing.
Which didn't make sense because in I believe it was the first one, they fought a hill troll or a mountain troll, and it took literally the whole party. And if it wasn't, if Frodo wasn't wearing that armor, he would have been dead.
Right.
It took
So
a whole party. to kill him, and she just went up after decimating most of her party. She just went up just there.
And it's one of those tropes where, like, to make her look stronger, you make everyone else look weaker. And here, how dope would it have been to see Gala have to use her mind and organize her team? Because this dude, you can't just take down with a couple swipes. She would have been more compelling. We would have saw vulnerability. We would have saw the whole thing in 2 seconds. Instead, we see the stone cold, merciless killer, and it's like, I don't relate to you. Because this is a big monster.
I'm not gonna lie though, it was kind of dope how the dude held the sword down and she just ran up the sword like, and she jumped.
I would like more strategy like that. You're not just, it just felt a little bit.
And you got to keep in mind, she's not the only elf that looks young but's old. They've all been doing this stuff for thousands of years, or at least hundreds.
Give me the Chicago Bulls, a well-oiled team. She's the Michael Jordan, but this is a well-oiled.
Still Scottie
everybody's
Pippen.
A well-oiled.
Yep.
And which actually would be more compelling. Actually, agree with you, Lawrence. It would be more compelling to see that team go mutinous when you know the bond they have is shown to you in the way they fight through combat. And we did. We got a glimpse of that. Chris is right. We saw that once when the guy dips his sword down. It was almost reminiscent of an X-Men move or something where, like, Colossus is going to throw Wolverine. Throw me at him! Ah! But it doesn't happen, right? Where, like, you get a glimpse of the fact that maybe the team...
I love that he's ready. He never used an X-Men analogy ever until now. No, but that's it. And I felt like... I'm not sure exactly who the lead of this show is, but... there was an opportunity to make this character compelling, and instead
she was definitely the lead of the show. We're following her character, no joke. I mean, listen, the fact that, jumping ahead, she's stuck in the middle of the ocean, and when that happened, I go, well, she's going to spend the next 5 episodes swimming.
Right.
And I go, I guess we're going to invest in some other characters. And then they put her on a boat, literally the next episode. I'm like, well... she probably should have spent the next 5 episodes swimming.
And I don't know what it is here, because this is the character you root for automatically. Her brother was killed.
She's not that likable though.
But it's like the movie Prey. It's like, something's out there. You're the only one who knows, and you're going after it. I should root for you, but why am I not rooting?
You nailed it. I'm sorry, but you actually nailed it right there. The problem with the movie Prey is we knew she was right, and the fact that they forced a narrative to have everyone go against the person who the audience knows is right makes it hard for us to identify. And that's happening in the Lord of the Power of the Rings series when we see our protagonist and we know that she's right, and then they force this narrative that every other character has to rebuke her.
Well,
going,
they're right,
it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, but her guys are right. They're like, we're going against the king because we've been out here for too long. We've done everything we had to do. We need to go back. We're going against our orders.
The problem when you have someone, but if you are a soldier in the field, your commanding officer is your orders. And when you left, no one's getting updates from the king. If anyone's getting updates from like an eagle or a raven or something like that, which is not in the content at all, it would have been her getting the updates, and she's giving it to her crew anyways. So their marching orders were, go do this thing, follow her for as long as it takes, 1,000 years, sure. But and then they were like, we want to go home. And then they instantly cut to...
Well, I think the problem is they didn't find a way to make us feel the thousands of years. Because if they found 100%. A way to make me feel that, like it's been thousands of years and you found nothing, then I'm like, you're crazy. You are crazy.
Yeah.
But it felt like 2 minutes of screen time. It didn't feel
because
like
it was one sentence and a VO. VO being a voiceover when the action of the thing is going on. Sometimes you get a
voiceover. Thanks for that. I wasn't sure about
voiceover. That. For those who don't know what a voiceover is, Chris, it's when
VO. So you got one VO line thrown in there in the middle of them climbing the ice mountain where they go, 1,000 years have passed. And you're like, I even did that. I shook my head. I said, wait, she just say 1,000?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what pot? Huh? What?
And honestly, I don't know how you convey that emotionally. I don't know how you make me feel that. I have no idea.
No. And there's one moment that I actually really appreciated, and it's when Elrond said, "Oh, it's just 20 years."
Oh yeah, the dwarf. Yeah,
and the dwarf was like,
I felt that.
That's a lifetime for me.
Now,
I had wife, 2 kids.
That actor playing that dwarf conveyed time for me. Somehow
Yes.
I got it. In that scenario, I got it. The thousands of years, I didn't buy that y'all been gone this long and she's crazy. I felt like
Right.
she's obviously right and you've been gone for 5 minutes,
Right.
which hurts the content.
Yes.
So in the
And for
beginning,
the
I'm
king
already
to be so divisive when they got back felt oddly off-putting too.
right. It's weird, and it's hard to root for the person you know you're supposed to root for. And when you know that she's on a mission that's righteous, but you just don't. It's just hard to get behind it. We also start learning about listen, this is gonna be all out of order because, like I said, I had a hard time keeping up with this while watching it. But this like we see the black elf, right? Black
Whoa.
elf. I'm
Is
going
a-
out of order. I'm going
In
out
this
of order.
content?
Yeah, there's a black elf.
You better write some
No.
angry
But
messages to the actor.
Jack, it's okay because there's only one black elf.
Oh, well,
So
okay.
that's fine.
That makes a lot more
It's fine.
sense.
It's not. It's
Well,
not
you wouldn't
diverse.
have more than one.
There's just
You can't
one.
have more than one diversification in thousands of
No,
years.
we got
so-
We got black
one
elf.
hobbit and a black.
And
You
hobbit.
know, all the other
he's not in
elves.
a
There's
position of power.
thousands. What'd you say?
He's not.
He's not in a position of power.
No, he's not.
No.
He's a
And
foot soldier.
I got a question. You would think, with a race of people that have been on the planet for thousands and thousands of years, where if you watch the 2 episodes, there is one minority elf. One. There's one token elf. You would think that the other thousands, millions of populations of elves, when they saw that guy, they'd be like,
Nah, man.
what? 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 They'd be going crazy.
He's the last black elf.
This is the
man.
problem. And listen. It's obviously if you're watching this and not listening to it, then you're watching this on YouTube. We already spent 20 minutes talking about this on the podcast, so I'm not going to get into it again. If you're on YouTube watching it, go check out the podcast. But the problem, I'll recap, is you can't have one. You can have hundreds. Or you can
you're
have
telling
none.
me,
But
yeah,
you
if you're
can't
telling
have
me
one.
This race of elves comes in all colors, then they need to come in all colors, not just one color in the midst of white. Then it's like
It's weird.
you're not making sense, and it is a little weird. But basically, he goes into a bar, and they all look at him like he doesn't belong here, and instantly,
But
I'm
that's because he's an elf.
Because he's an elf.
Oh,
not
okay,
because he's-
all right.
because there was no black people in that bar, and in that tavern.
I think it might have been a combination of things.
it might have been 2 things, Jack.
I felt like, what do you mean, you people? Oh, elf.
Elf,
Okay.
elf.
Right. And you know, he has a bond with this woman there, and you can tell that they want to be lovers. There's a longing. There's a pained longing between them. A lot of unspoken long silences between them. And she has a son who doesn't know what happened to his dad. And somehow, what does he have? He has this freaking
It's the
broken
sword.
Sword.
Why does he
Sword.
have it?
He
has
found
the
it.
sword.
Yeah,
but,
so
but he found it in his own barn. Like
No, I thought
Where's
I
that?
thought it was the farmer's barn. I thought him and the other kid went in and was like, this guy has a treasure under here. They're looking for treasure, and then he finds the broken sword, which we see is like the symbol of Sauron, right, Jack?
Right,
Well,
and it started
isn't
glowing.
it, who was Sauron's sword? It's his sword.
Yeah.
It was some sort of-
We also, at the end of the episode, we also see the hobbits here. And they're different kind of hobbits than the ones with Frodo in the book. These are like
they're dirty
solitary.
hobbits.
Yeah, they live by, they don't want to associate with
Dirty,
the outside
filthy
world.
hobbits.
Easy,
But they're still
easy.
hobbits.
Sorry
They're-
for you hobbits listening to this.
Filthy hobbits.
We do not condone any bad remarks against hobbits. But some dude falls out the sky in a meteor, and Meteor Man hits and lands on Earth.
He's a giant.
White.
He's a
White
giant.
Meteor Man.
White Jesus Meteor Man
You can
hits.
cast Meteor Man as a white guy, but you can't cast an elf as a black guy.
I'm gonna find that actor and say terribly racist things to that actor who played the giant. who played Meteor Man, and like cut him down to his core just because he's just doing a job trying to entertain me.
Joseph Meow.
You're like, you're not a real wizard, you mother. I'm gonna be in his DM just cussing
You
him
can't
out.
kill Ladybug.
How
Firefly.
dare you? You know how many real wizards around here you could have cast?
Well, you know, Ian McKellen went on record after playing Gandalf.
Ian McKellen is a wizard, though. It's different. Ian McKellen. he's an
Actually, he
actual
went on
wizard.
record saying, "You might not know this, but I'm actually not a wizard. I just pretended to be."
Are you serious? This whole freaking time?
Unbelievable, right?
Man, if the internet was alive back then, it would have had a field day. How dare they cast a non-wizard to play a wizard?
My cousin's a wizard. He could have been in this.
He could be
Yo.
taking jobs away from real wizards. Oh my
So-
goodness.
So far for me, the hobbits, and then later on in episode 2, the dwarfs are the best part of the series. They're fun. They're excited. There's energy when they show
The
up.
pacing
There's-
is the only pacing that makes sense.
Yeah, and
I feel like the elves is slow. You know, it's weird. This is what I had in my non-spoiler review. We started like 1,000 miles an hour. We're going to cover over thousands of years of stuff, and then we're going to meet these new characters, and it's going to be slow and introduce us to all these people we know nothing about.
yeah.
I listen to these conversations that we don't still are lost, and then the Hobbit and the Dwarves is the only pacing that is semi-enjoyable. Like, we're learning about the characters. We see enough interaction between the characters to make us care about the characters.
And it's funny. It's fun.
fun,
It's charismatic. And it's the first when we see them, I'm not watching the producers go, hey, we spent $1 billion here. Look at this scenery. It's like, no, it's like, it's just actors working and dialogue moving.
Well, but also look at the scenery.
It's also very beautiful.
Great. Yeah.
For $1 billion show, I'm like, y'all got it. I just imagine there's gonna be more fight scenes. Like you bring me back next Friday because you gave me an oh my god moment at the end of episode 2.
They're bringing you
How
back.
did episode 2 end?
I don't even remember.
See,
Was
that's
he-
the problem. And this content was made for me. I love this content. It's the kind of content I seek out. I enjoy. It's the video games I like to play. I always sign up as the warrior. Give me a sword. Make me the tank. Throw me in the middle of it. It's the content I like. And
Mhm.
I think... I mean, I'm definitely going to continue to watch the series. But it's like...
You don't remember how episode 2 ended.
That's a
And-
problem.
In a $1 billion
Yeah.
series, they didn't give you, oh my god, I gotta come back next week. They didn't give you a big fight, a big visual masterpiece in a
It
$1
didn't even have to be
billion
that,
series.
but it had to be something that compels you to turn the page, right?
Yeah.
I gotta tell you,
all I asked
not-
is who
not-
was on the boat. That's all I want to know. That's how it ended. The girl was on the raft. The guy, she gets found on the boat.
Oh, you mean on the big boat?
Yeah, the big boat. Who was on the big boat? And that's
Probably
kind of
the
cliffhanger.
pirates who they were originally telling. They're
Oh,
like,
those
you
guys
gotta
who
watch
were-
out on these waters.
The
It's these
Corsairs.
guys.
And I don't care. Here's the, we should be so compelled by Gala. Like
Well, that's
she
how it
was-
ended.
Yeah.
That's
She
how it
was
ended.
like,
Yeah.
she was like on her way to their version of like Valhalla, right? Like they were going to like paradise.
No,
Yeah.
Where was that?
she
Where were
was
they going?
No, she was going back to where the series started. She was simply going back to her home where that tree was.
No. I thought no. She was crossing over.
To the light in
Yeah,
the
she was
sky. And they
crossing.
all
Yeah,
like,
because
ate
remember
weapons?
when she came back and she met her friend, who's like the hand to the king, and he's like, and he showed her the tapestry and was like, this
Yes,
is what
that's
happens.
Hugo
when you-
Weaving's character in the movies.
Right, he's like, this is what happens when you cross over. You all know a song that you all know the words
Yeah,
to.
they were going
and
to
then-
like heaven.
Yeah, they were crossing over.
I thought she was
And-
going home.
No, home is
They
destroyed.
kept saying home.
I
No,
think they
her
meant
home
home.
wasn't destroyed.
I think
They
they
left
meant-
her home. They all left their island
To go to
that
Middle
home
Earth.
to go to Middle Earth, and she was going home for the first time in thousands of years after
Oh
being at
no,
war.
see, I understood it as they were crossing over to their heaven.
Look, I mean, it visually looked like heaven either way.
It did.
So-
I agree.
So thematically, even if it was home or she chose to not go to paradise. She chose not to go to her resting place. And she's like, she abandoned light to stay in dark water. And I'm like, here's
Yeah.
a character who is choosing revenge over peace. I should be on the edge of my seat with this character. Like she's like, they're all dropping their weapons as they're about to go home, and she holds on to it. I'm like, I should be just like loving this Jon freaking Snow character.
You know who did it better? He-Man.
Well, we actually saw him in his paradise.
He did.
Just saying. It
Did
is.
he?
He-Man did it better. He-Man did it better. I'm just saying. And
The new
there's-
series?
Yes. Yes. And that he was just garbage. And that says a lot about this series.
Chris, I don't know if I can co-sign on that. I don't know if I can co-sign on it better. So basically, there's some monster thing living in the grounds, and it made that cow pump out some black goo from its nipples or whatever.
Well,
and
they
then
look like they're orcs, right? This is
I
this
don't
this
know.
content's version of the
Yeah,
orcs.
yeah, those are orcs. Yeah, those are
So
orcs.
there's
Yeah.
orcs.
That's
He
what came up
goes
out of the ground, right? Out of the floor.
And what grabbed what's his name? Andori?
Which one is that? The
I think
sun?
they showed. He kind of just got.
No,
Oh,
yeah,
that's-
he's
that's the black
the
orc.
black
Oh, the
elf.
black
Who
elf.
grabbed the elf?
Yeah.
That was like the tree people, the ent. We know
Oh.
it's not. We know it's not
I
the
don't think they
creatures
showed that.
because
They showed hands,
got-
but it looked like
he
it
got
came out
got.
of the woods.
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
they grabbed it.
the roots.
Yeah.
He got
So who's-
grabbed.
Maybe it was all the other black elves. Like come back, come
Like,
back
"Whoa,
to Elf Harlem.
What you doing out here?
Yeah, you don't belong there, boy.
You better get this. You better get up on the chicken.
What you doing?
Why you on the south
You're
side?
wrong side of town. You better get your ass back here, boy. Told you not to go past them forests over there. Told you to stay out here.
Theo, what you doing over there? I
Get your
can't.
color behind back here, Negro, please. Let's
I
go.
can't. I can't. So he gets grabbed up. The woman that he loves is trying to convince the people that they need to leave. She fights an orc and she winds up delivering his head.
And those guys are strong in this content.
Yeah.
Like, strong,
She's
strong.
gangster. She's
they're
gangster.
not that.
like-
They're not that strong in Lord of the Rings.
They're
I mean,
more like
they were strong, but they
paper
were
bad
like
guys.
huge.
Yeah, but they were just felling orcs like, paper targets in the Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings series.
Mm.
They're like foot soldiers.
Yeah,
Foot
mindless
clan
masses.
in the series.
Yeah, but those are also like trained warriors. We talking about this was just the regular chick and her son. And actually, he didn't even do it. No, he did. He got a couple stabs in, but
He stabbed him
Yeah,
through
she
the
did most of
chest.
the work.
She did do most of
Yeah.
the work, and she delivered his
And
head
that
and said, "What are we
sword
gonna do?"
he's got is pretty cool, man. It's like a necromagic sword, or it's like dark
Oh, the one
magic,
that
blood
belongs
magic
to
sword.
Soren.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
we,
because
we saw the blood
His
go in.
blood went into it.
Yeah,
And
started
then,
to
and then we
grow.
have the
No,
dude,
that's
the
gonna play out.
Meteor
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Is he Gandalf?
No, he's
he's-
Orin.
Um,
We don't know his
He's
name
who?
yet, but his name is
Yeah, we
Orin.
don't know his name.
OREN.
But who do you think
Okay.
he is?
Meteor Man's good. I don't know, what is he? Some sort of demigod?
I don't know.
I mean, if
don't know.
Gandalf
Yeah,
is a
that's what that
demigod,
race
this
is.
guy's
The
he's trying to
wizard-
get back.
the
Watch him be Gandalf.
He's not Gandalf. He's Orin.
They said his name. How do you know?
Because
I know he's Orin.
I mean, I
because
didn't
I
even
looked at
talk
the
yet.
credits.
Huh?
I
Oh,
looked
Did
at
you?
the credits.
did they really they put his name in the credits?
They list everybody's names in the
They
credits.
should have. Why would they spoil who he could
The
be?
better question is who's watching the credits?
So Orin, this demigod, who actually, when he gets angry, like that was pretty cool. When he gets angry or yells, like the whole season and atmosphere changes around him. That's pretty dope. And the fire wasn't hot that when he landed.
Yeah, yeah.
I really dig the hobbits, and they're kind of like a Frodo and Sam, the two ladies hobbits. They're kind of like,
Yeah, they're funny,
Okay.
they're cool, they're good time, they're a little bit
Mm.
mischievous.
but friends.
Yeah.
Like, but friends, which is nice. And oh yeah, what's his face? Real quick to wrap this up, the elf dude. Forget his name, but he goes.
Elgard, I think?
Yeah, he
Elgard,
goes
yeah.
to see his boy, who's a dwarf, because he wants them to make something, or have access to
A
make
tower.
a thing.
Uh,
The tower.
It's a forge. So it's a tower that's going to be a forge.
Well,
Why
it
does this-
almost looks like the Soren. That's not his name. How do you say the guy's name?
Sauron.
Sauron?
Sauron.
Yeah, it almost looks like the tower from the
Sauron.
Lord of the Rings series where you actually see his eye in
Yeah,
it.
it kind
I
of does.
yeah.
Doesn't
So
that look like the tower we're building?
Yeah,
Which
well,
makes
yeah,
sense
that's what I
because
thought
this
it was going to
content,
be.
that's what I think too, because this content is actually 2,000 years before Lord of the Rings takes place, and we
Yeah.
know
So
that
it's
his eye is in one of these things.
as someone who's never seen Lord of the Rings who jumps in this, why should I care about any of what I'm watching? I'm asking you guys, like, is there something here that I missed?
well, Sauron is the big bad. He's the big bad that crosses. He's gonna cross through this series into the Lord of the Rings series,
Right. But if
and
I'm
then
like,
he even crosses into after that into the Hobbit series.
right. But like House of the Dragon, I can enjoy that without knowing Game of Thrones because the story's good on its own. If you watch Game of Thrones, it's great, but it on its own is still very good. Here, without knowing everything you guys know, I don't know why I'm supposed to care about
Yeah,
any of this
they
stuff.
did a poor job of setting up as this huge bad. So what they should have done, they should have spent more time talking about how he took over the orcs and blah blah blah. He did all this because he is the
Yeah.
Thanos. He is it all. He's the Thanos. He's the dark side. He is it for this universe. So they should have done a better job. But I think they kind of assumed that anyone who's watching this is has been their fans and stuff like that, which
You spend
they
$1 billion,
shouldn't.
you should want to get new people.
You would think that.
I mean, because whatever he's building, like I know it's supposed to matter or whatever he wants to build, but I'm like, I don't know why it matters.
Yeah.
I know it matters to you, but I don't know why it matters.
And that's fair. That's fair. That's fair as
Ooh. What if they build that tower, right? And then he takes it
Hey,
over.
I might have
Right?
lied
It's
to
like
you.
at the end of the series. Who was that?
His name's not Orin. I think you're right. It is. I'm thinking of someone else in it. I think I misread that.
So he has no name.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Meteor Man is as good as anything at this
Oh
point.
yeah, he's the stranger.
Yeah. Sorry. So
Well,
No.
that's what.
that's my bad.
Yeah.
For anyone who's
So-
been listening for the last 5 minutes, just screaming at the content.
So he could be
Orin's a
Gandalf.
dwarf, you jerk! How do you not
He-
know who Orin
He
is?
could be. But yeah. So I don't know. I walk away with this kind of like I don't know what's going on, and not in a good like Game of Thrones. I don't know what's going on. I'm not
Yeah.
leaning in, but it looks fantastic. It looks beautiful. I mean, the people that created this world visually, chef's kiss, man. I see like the money well spent. This thing looks good, and the practical effects too, like the orc. That was like you can tell that was actual prosthetics, and it looked fantastic. Looks really good. I might come
really
back
loves the
next week.
texture.
It's great texture.
Actually, I really dug it. Yeah, I did. Like I said, this is my content, and it's. I'll be going back to it. I'm hoping that, assuming genius, they're telling the right part of the story, because, like I said, the story they skipped over to tell this part of it was pretty damn compelling to me. So I'm assuming that they're geniuses and they've made the right choice.
We'll see. I can't tell you I'll be back, but I might. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. You guys have any final thoughts?
Nope.
So wait. So there was two wars. It was that first one, and then I'm assuming one after this.
After this, yeah, after this is where the Lord of the Rings series is set. That it's
Okay, so
the story we
because
skipped.
this is right.
Yeah, it's the story we skipped.
Yeah, 'cause
Then
this is going to be the story. This is going to be the story of the forging of the rings, which is the rings of power.
right, I think so. And then after this is
Alright.
Hobbit. 2,000 years later is Hobbit, and then Lord of the Rings. So this is exactly right. This is where the rings were probably going to get forged, which is why they're making the forge, which is maybe ultimately where the big eye is going to be. It's probably going to be in that forge that has the power of however many suns. Lawrence
maybe.
is like, cool, sounds good, guys.
This is great with context, but I feel like if you come out with this series, it should be enjoyable even if you haven't read the books or watched the 10 hours of movies that aren't even connected to this series technically.
Well, At the rate they're going, it's looking like it's probably episode 5 or 6 before this thing cracks open. You know, because you have the dwarves are going to get on board to build the thing. You got the kid and his mom going on a journey that's going to put them in situations where the kid's going to start using the weapon. You got
Right.
the Hartfoots with our mystery man, who's not Orin. Again, I apologize. That's me misspeaking. You know, our meteor man, mystery man, stranger guy, who he's going to start cracking open. And it's probably, we're looking at 5 to 6 episodes before these paths really start to converge. We're going to get the elf lady back in. She's got to eventually team up with the other elf, the human, to put together some sort of posse of teams. That we know this content exists with a posse of an elf, a wizard, a warrior, a whoever, and you got to have a hobbit person, Harfoot. So they're gonna put the team together eventually, right? They have to. That's literally this content. If they don't, it'd be remiss. So
That
that's
might
probably
be
not gonna
episode
happen.
10.
Well,
Come
it
back
might be
next
episode
season.
10, but
They
you're gonna
only
start.
coming out with 8 episodes, so
Oh.
So
You
they
got-
got to start converging some of these paths by, like I said, probably 5 or 6 is when the content should start really popping. And if it's not popping by 6,
Well,
what?
when you look at the plot, what happened in episode 1 and 2 should have been like one episode. Like it should have just,
yeah.
we should be
At
propelled.
the rate it's going, sure.
Yeah. No, I don't know. That's all I got. That's all we got here. Let me know if we missed anything. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you strongly disagree in the comment section, man. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're dropping content all over the place. We got Chris shopping in every Walmart across America. We got some dope unboxings. We got Jack unboxing. We got his comic books. We're dropping some dope content. Check us out on Instagram too. And we got a podcast. You hear my wonderful jokes that Rich absolutely loves in that podcast.
Well, this week was pretty good, though, actually.
Jack, you should check that out.
Only took 67 episodes, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll be back. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Peace. Later.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. We're talking